Now, the natural philosophers adopted a skeptical epistemology, and not because they were skeptics, but because it was the highest standard they could come up with, which is why all of the deniers of skeptical epistemology continually refer to it. It's a very high standard. Tooby offered a quote from Bertrand Russell about the fact that skepticism was logically impeccable, but impossible to believe. Well, no, it's not impossible to believe. Science is an example. We can believe the knowledge of science. At least, speaking for myself, I can. I accept the knowledge of science because it's performed on skeptical grounds. It was smart of them to do that. And if you perform it on skeptical grounds, you get the most compelling truths that you can. And it's not truths about things in themselves, it's truths about the way things behave. You want to know how things are in themselves. Good for you. I don't necessarily want to know that. I want to know how things behave. I can ascertain a behavior, and I can make comments about the behavior. I can form expectations about what behavior leads to the next behavior. I can set up perceptions of an experiment in a particular setup, and I can run the experiment and expect and predict the results, especially if I've run it before. And then I can expect that. It doesn't mean that I know what nature is in and of itself, and that's obvious from the standard model, because as I said earlier, we have the standard model telling us things are particles, we have the standard model telling us things are waves, and those are contradictory. But I can hold both. Why? Because both of them match the evidence. So I know that I have more thinking and researching to do, and I actually expect to leave a lot of that thinking and research to scientists. But the fact of the matter is, they will give me the information, I'll judge for myself, and I expect to get a better model that unifies them. And that's why we seek, as scientists seek, unifying theories that explain everything at once. But if we get that, we're not going to be fooled and think, oh, we found what the world is in and of itself. Of course not. We don't need to know that. It's quite good enough to know how the world is behaving. We don't have to know that there really is a gravitational field, that it's a field like we picture it. It could be anything. It could be a software library. It could be whatever. All we need to know is that it's behaving in a certain way, that it's modeled well by the idea of a field, that it is modeled well, meaning that our models will make predictions and statements and descriptions that could be confirmed in reality. It will behave as if it has that. And if we keep doing that, eventually we get to the point where the measurements we take don't fit the model anymore. And we love this because we get to change the model. Objectivists hate this because it means they were wrong. And if they were wrong, then it was useless. Everything they said was useless. But it isn't useless. And as skeptics, we can even take the ideas of dogmatists and apply them and do good work with them and understand that the fact that they have errors does not mean that they're useless. It is a mistake to call me a radical skeptic, because if I can take the whole body of scientific knowledge as demonstrably true based on the idea that truth means demonstration, then I think I have a pretty big body of knowledge, really cool knowledge, including knowledge that is counterintuitive, that I can prove to you even though it's counterintuitive. I consider that pretty good knowledge, and I don't consider that very radical. And you know what else? In philosophy, we live as though these tautologies and everything's pure and clean. Fine, that's our hobby. How do most people live? Do they live thinking they have to be absolutely correct? Do they believe they're absolutely correct and everything? They have all the facts and everything? No. They live much more skeptically. Whatever they think their philosophy is, if they're healthy in their mind at all, they're probably living pretty skeptically. They know they might have to rethink things. They know they might come to a very solid conclusion, but due to a twist in the plot, they get more information and they have to change their ideas about the world. And that's not radical. That's practical. Skepticism is very practical. It's dealing with the facts that we actually have at hand. It's dealing with the reality of the situation we find ourselves in. It'd be very nice to pretend we're in this godlike situation and we can have pure reason and we can think without human brains and we can pretend to be disembodied and we can come up with all these ideas. oh yeah, how lovely that is. It's not very practical. And it leads to an epistemological requirement that our knowledge be absolutely correct and confirmed as correct in order to be known, which leads to a situation where we have no knowledge. How fucking practical is that? Oh wait, you're the ones that are telling me that I am impractical, that I am radical, because I say that we have to justify knowledge that way. And you're the one that's saying, no, we have to justify knowledge to this really high standard that nothing can meet. And is that practical? You're telling a guy says, I know how to fix a car. Well, he can fix some cars and he can't fix others. You're saying, no, you don't know, because you don't absolutely know, absolutely certainly, how to fix every car, so you don't know. But I'm looking for a guy that can fix my car. That's fucking practical. I just want somebody that can do it well enough that I have a reasonable belief that he can fix my car. He might try and fail. Fine, I'm just making an educated guess. That's practical. Making educated guesses about the world, that's practical. Waiting until you have certain truth about the world, that's not practical, because even those of you that believe in certain truth in this a priori domain know that synthetic truths are not absolutely demonstrable. They're not absolutely certain. If you look at a bunch of ducks and you identify one of the ducks, it seems like a rare duck, you can't be sure that it's not some other duck with similar markings. You can't be sure of those things. So even if you identify it correctly, you won't know that you've identified it correctly. And there's this infinite regression of trying to prove that you know what you know, what you know, what you know, what you know. And you'll never satisfy that. It's impractical. I'm not the radical one. You guys are the radical one. I don't care that every 99% rather of the philosophers have been on your side. 99% of the philosophers have been on the side of God too. Big fucking deal. Who cares? The basic facts of the matter is that we don't have certain knowledge. We know that. We need to admit it. And you know what? A lot of people are like, Piro, you're saying that things are unreal. Well, how dare you say it? I'm not saying that. I'm saying how knowledge works given the fact that we are using approximations and models. How does it work? I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm saying it works out. I'm saying that the objective epistemology doesn't work out. The one you want to use doesn't work out. You're going to hold on to it anyway because you want to be absolutely certain. And I'll wait for you. I'm patient. I'll wait for you. I'll wait for you to be objectively certain. But you know what I'm really waiting for? I'm waiting for you to realize, oh wait, I'm not objectively certain and I still have knowledge. How could that be? And I've told you how. Cheers.